Is now it's official. David Savard is a member of the Montreal Canadiens. A 4-year deal, $3.5 million a year, as per our Pierre Lebrun. So we knew there was a hole there, a massive one, with the loss of Shea Weber. What does David Savard do for the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, more of the same for that big physical defense core. I mean, you know, he's 6'2", he's 240 pounds. You plug him in with Joel Edmondson, and when they went out and got Edmondson, it was more or less doubling down on their success in the previous year. They were big, they were physical, and they controlled the net front in front of Carey Price and Jake Allen. And I think that's really, really important. And as we saw, the two teams were in the Stanley Cup Finals, both had big physical defense core. So no surprise, I think, with David Savard. I think it's a really good replacement. 30 years old, a veteran. You don't have a spotlight on a young kid trying to replace Shea Weber.
And just before we get to your thoughts, as Tampa loses a defenseman, they get another in Zach Bogosian, who returns to Tampa Bay, won a Stanley Cup there 2 years ago. 3 years, $850,000 a year. Of course, spent the past season in Toronto. David Savard, who was on the third pairing in a very deep Tampa team that wins its second straight Stanley Cup, but will play a lot more minutes, likely in the top 4 position in Montreal.
Well, it's going to be a lot about the expectation. People have to understand in Montreal that this is not a Shea Weber type replacement. This is a guy that does it all for the Montreal. He's going to do it all for the Montreal Canadiens, play in all types of situations, but he's not that alpha dog defenseman. I do like the number for the Montreal Canadiens, and he's a player that's really grown on me over the years. I thought everybody should have been in on this guy to get him last year, but it's a great signing for the Montreal Canadiens to try to shore up that big, long, lengthy D-core they have there in Montreal.
Ray, best they could do as far as who was available considering their situation?
I think so. I like David Savard a lot. I think he's he's such a solid guy. Physically, he's a rock. He can move the puck. He can skate. We saw he had a role to fill in Tampa, and he was able to do that. Now, can he fill this other role, which is going to be far different as the guys we're talking about in Montreal? I think he can do it to some extent. I would say some of this load is going to have to fall to the youngster Alexander Romanov, who I think is a terrific player and will continue to grow. You don't replace Shea Weber with one guy. You probably have to do it a little bit by committee.
Let's extendo panel here. We still social distance at the main panel, so we have Craig Button and Mike Johnson just a few feet away from us. Gentlemen, your take on Savard, and also Bogosian, Darren Dreger reporting accepting less money to go back to Tampa where he won that Stanley Cup.
I'll start with Zach Bogosian leaving the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know, 3 years at $850,000. That's the way Julien Brisebois operates. This is a terrific, terrific signing for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and somebody they know and somebody that knows them. They weren't going to be able to keep David Savard, but as Ray pointed out and the panel pointed out, you know, they're trying to fill the hole that's massive left by Shea Weber in Montreal.
Yeah, they are. Bogosian, you love keeping your depth defenseman below $1 million because if it doesn't work out, you can put him in the minors, doesn't cost you anything. You give him a little term. It's a very nice signing by Tampa. And Savard, yes, he's big, physical, but I wonder if this almost feels like Montreal doubling down on their success in the playoffs. They've defended their way with big physical defenders. We're going to try to replace Shea Weber with another big physical defender. If he's going to play in the top 4, you're going to roll those big 4 guys again. I just don't wonder if they don't need, for the length of a regular season, a full regular season, that they can't play that way. They need a puck-moving defenseman. They need to find other ways to play a game than just defending and being physical like they did in the playoffs.
Well, and that's what gave them the success. They couldn't score. And it's a lot different playing in Tampa Bay with Kucherov and Point and those guys that are pushing back the defenders. When you're in your own zone, that wears you down a lot. And, you know, David Savard is dependable. He plays hard. He's competitive. But, you know, you get a player that, you know, is not anywhere near the level of Shea Weber. And, to Ray's point, Alexander Romanov. He's a good player. They didn't want to use him in the playoffs. I don't know what the reluctance is, because I'm with Ray. I think he's a terrific player.
But on a day like today, we see a lot of bad dollars. 3.5 for David Savard is a good dollar amount. 4 years, given what we've seen today, not a bad term. The contract's not bad. Whether the fit is exactly perfect, James, remains to be seen.